Am I the a-hole for asking my boyfriend's sister to reimburse us for the damages she caused after she threw a party in our apartment? For context, I am in a relationship with an amazing man. I met his family and his family have met me too, and got along apart from his little sister Jess. She never liked me once I stepped into their house. It was like she was trying to find every single fault in me, whether my clothes, which she would sometimes say, "You look like a cheap woman showing that much cleavage," or stating, "You look like a nun all covered up." But regardless, I always try to make friends with her, whether it was baking her favorite cookies, buying cinema tickets for her to watch a movie, etc. I never wanted to have a bad relationship with my boyfriend's sister. A few months passed by, and honestly, my relationship with Jess slightly improved. There were no snarky comments about me or my clothing. Everything was chill. Until my boyfriend and I had a 3-day trip and were leaving our shared apartment and needed a house sitter to take care of our plants and our 3 dogs, and Jess volunteered. I was very hesitant, but my boyfriend assured me maybe she was trying to get in my good books. I left her my keys to the apartment since I didn't have a pair, and it was honestly just a 3-day trip. Fast forward 3 days later, we called Jess to inform her we're coming back, but she doesn't answer the phone. So later on, we're knocking on the door. When there's no answer for about 10 minutes, I try calling Jess repeatedly but still no answer. After a while, Jess opens the door. I was honestly relieved as we thought something bad happened. I tried answering, but she blocked me as I politely tell her to move away, before I pushed past her to see our apartment in ruins. Broken cups, plates, glass, and even a shattered wine bottle. Even a few painting broken. But thankfully, it was only the sitting room and the dining area. Jess then starts apologizing, saying she just had a few friends over. Who brought a few friends with them, and this mess happened. And I was having none of it, as maybe this was some kind of sick prank. I tell her I don't care how this all happened, but she would have to reimburse us for all the damages. Thankfully, my boyfriend supported me. Jess broke down in tears. I did feel bad for her, but actions do have consequences. She then starts shouting at me, saying our relationship was getting better, and I messed it up. In which I told her, "You're the only one who messed it up, not me." She did leave a few minutes later, but now my messages are flooding, with some of her family members telling me to forgive her, and it was a mistake and I am being too harsh on her, but I'm not budging. Now for the top comments. Not stay home. Have you taken pictures? If you haven't, do so if possible. If it escalates, then you have proof to show the police. I haven't taken any pictures. Hopefully, it doesn't get to a point that I have to inform the police. I hope it doesn't either. I would take pictures for insurance purposes, and if any family member says anything, you can offer to show them the damage. I can guarantee they would be angry if she did that at their home. Yes, because it's likely she's telling them things like it's just a little messy, and are blowing it out of proportion. Pictures will tell the real story. Document everything. Not stay home. It isn't a matter of forgiving her, and you could tell her flying monkeys that you do forgive her, though you are not obligated to do so. You just want her to take responsibility and reimburse you for the damage. I tell her I don't care how this all happened, but she would have to reimburse us for all the damages. This is a perfectly reasonable stance. Thus, forgiveness is not the same thing as released from consequences of your actions. Additionally, you can forgive someone but still not trust them. Not stay all OP. Be polite and civil with her, but keep her at arm's length. Your significant other needs to shut her down too. Her comments on your appearance need to stay in her mouth. When someone sends their flying monkeys in an argument, it's because they know they were wrong. You are not a-hole, but Jess definitely is. So she damaged your place and didn't even have the decency to clean it up. And now you just have to forgive this behavior? After she reimbursed the damages, she's forgiven. If she took accountability for her actions and you continued to hate her, they could say these kinds of things, but not now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take in a single mother and her children? I own a 3-bed, 2-bath, and I use one room for work/guest room and one room to sleep in. I wanted to find a roommate to take the last room I wasn't using, and they would have their own bathroom. I posted a bedroom for $900 looking for a single female roommate and got a lot of interest. I also told some of my friends about wanting to find a roommate because I would rather live with someone I already know. One of my friends gave my number to a friend who was a single mother of 3 kids. She asked to see the place without telling me she had children, and I let her come to look at the place. She brought her 3 kids with her to see the place, and I told her I was looking for a single female, not 4 people. She got angry and accused me of discriminating against her and threatens to get her lawyer involved. I know I'm not allowed to have preferences for roommate, and only full unit rentals are not allowed to discriminate against children. I told her she could, but the law was in my favor and told her I wasn't interested in living with her children, especially since the rental was for 1 room, so where would they sleep? She told me I should give up the room I work in to her 2 oldest, and I told her no, that's not definitely going to work, and kicked her out. She called me again 2 days later and begged me to let her and her children stay for a month or 2, since her landlord was kicking her out at the end of the month and her children would stay at their grandma's, so I just had to take her in. I heard horror stories about tenants refusing to leave and evictions taking forever, so I told her I had already found a tenant. This isn't a lie. I had someone I thought was a good fit, but they wanted to move in the next month, June, instead of May, which would have been better for me. But in the end, I decided to go with her. But I didn't believe she would leave her kids and sneak them in as soon as she moved in. My friend called me up and told me she was desperate and couldn't afford a higher rent elsewhere and I should take her in as an act of kindness. I have heard lots of horror stories about bad roommates, so I didn't want to risk it. But am I the a-hole for not wanting to take that risk? Not the a-hole. You searched for 1 female and 1 room. She demands 2, I guess for the same rent, and wants to move in with 4. Hell no. And threatens to call a lawyer when Opie understandably tells her no. Why is she being evicted? I see that as a big red flag. If she can't afford a higher rent, then how will she afford a lawyer to sue? Right? I'm getting evicted, but I'm gonna call a lawyer on you. I'd laugh. Definitely a toothless threat. Your friend should take this person in if they are so concerned. To misrepresent the situation entirely by bringing 3 children, unannounced, then expecting you to hand over your home office is not realistic. It's unfortunate, but if the grandparents can take the kids, the mom should be with them. I think you are being wise and cautious. Not stay home. Not stay home. Your intuition and feelings seem to be spot on. She's already a pain in the neck, and she hasn't even moved in. She hasn't shown any regard for you from the beginning, and getting rid of her will be difficult. With a 10-foot pole, don't approach her. She's a walking, talking, entitlement red flag. Not stay home. Considering the immediate yelling and lawyer threats, she's never gonna leave. It'll be hell. Do not give in. Not stay home. Look, not everyone wants to hear it, but an act of kindness shouldn't be coerced. If you weren't willing to live with a single mom and her 3 kids, you weren't willing to, and that is okay. This situation is only bolstered by her initial entitlement to your space, suggesting you give her a second room for her kids she didn't mention? Come on. And lack of respect for your desires. And why doesn't the friend take them in out of an act of kindness? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not putting my girlfriend's name on her property? Me, 23 male, and my girlfriend, 24 female, have been together for almost 7 years. We live with our parents, and we are planning to live together. We found a small apartment in a nice part of the city that is very affordable, but we haven't made our decision yet. The issue began when we were talking about logistics, and she said that she can't wait to finally have something under her name. Now, the thing is that I earn a lot more than her. Still, I'm not wealthy by any means, and we agreed that I would be the one paying for the mortgage and part of everything else, while she only pays part of the bills and part of the food, and she saves up some money. So I told her that since I'm the one that is going to pay for the apartment, I only feel comfortable putting the apartment under my name. She blew up at me calling me selfish, that I'm already thinking about breaking up and that I want to leave her with nothing. I told her that it isn't true, that I want to grow old with her and love her until the day I die and beyond, but that a lot of people felt that way and they still ended up breaking up, and I just wanted to look after myself. I told her we are not married yet, and I obviously would not expect her to give me part of her savings if we part ways. So it is not fair to expect me to give her part of the apartment that I would be paying for if we part ways. She called me an a-hole and now is not talking to me to fix things up. At this point, I'm just considering getting the apartment anyway for myself. And if she wants to stay with me, she would be welcome to move in. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I'd like to answer to a couple of questions. 1. How much would you both contribute? I would have to give a down payment of $8,000, which is a lot in my country. Most people can only save that amount by working at least 2 years and not spending any of their earnings. Also, I would be paying around $500 to $550 per month on the mortgage, food, and bills. She would be paying around $80 to $120 in food, internet, and transportation. She has to commute and I work from home. 2. How would a chore split? Well, our intention is to split everything 50-50, but since she is outside working most of the day, I would be the one cleaning and cooking most of the time. She could do everything on the weekends, but that would be tiring for her since she doesn't have that much free time. 3. Do you plan to marry her and have kids and add her to the deed? I'm personally not a fan of marriage, but I have talked about it with her, and I decided that if I ever get married, I want it to be with her. I don't do it yet because of money. I want to purchase the apartment and have stability, and because I want to see what it's like to live with her first. We don't want kids. I got a vasectomy last year and she was on board with it. However, she has mentioned things like I'd be a great father or that she would like to experience what it's like to be a mother. And I told her that if she feels that way, we must break up because I don't want to waste her time and have her resent me for that. She said she was fine with it and that they were just passing thoughts. If we get married, I could add her to the deed or just sell the apartment and buy a new one for both of us where we both contribute. Whatever we discuss in the future. Thank you for all your comments and insights. It helped a lot in thinking things through. Now for the comments. Not stay home. You're buying it and paying for everything. You're not married. You can change the deed if you do get married. Not sure what country OP is in, but in mine, de facto relationships after a certain time are legally as good as married ones. 7 years is more than enough. Not stay home. This is business. It's unwise to put someone's name on the deed when that person has not invested in the property. If you get married and choose to continue living in the apartment, you can always add her name to the deed then. But as it stands, you are taking 100% of the financial risk. Completely agree. I'd want to add that the girlfriend should view it this way as well. When my husband, then boyfriend of 6 years, bought our home, I insisted on having a lease agreement. It protected me from being homeless in the event we broke up. I would have 90 days to move out and keep any assets I supplied to the household, and clearly outlined our financial responsibilities. I didn't pay rent, but it called out which bills I agreed to cover. Not stay home and good call. You're not married, and she's not paying the mortgage. There is no reason for her name to be on the deed, and the fact she got this upset over, it makes it sound like your instinct was accurate. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for giving my brother-in-law and his handicapped daughter a sad time to move out? I'll preface this by saying that my brother-in-law, 43, lost his apartment and job, and he and his handicapped 13-year-old daughter had no place to live. My husband took them in 4 months ago. Brother-in-law is your typical tiny, 5'4" man. He hates fat people, to the point he wouldn't tip waitresses he considered fat. He is obsessed with body image so much it put his daughter in a wheelchair because of his constant dogging about every meal he saw her put in her mouth. He's her main caretaker but been doing it wrong, so I help, but he tells me off. I'm a bit on the heavy side. Not obese though, and it takes every chance to talk me into losing weight. He also trashes the place, then tells me to clean to motivate me to burn fats. He also leaves adult magazines on the kitchen counter, and my toddler sees them. He also calls me names like fatso or tell my husband, "Dude, your wife's beard scares the heck out of me," whenever I pick a fight with him about leaving his daughter without feeding. Some days ago, he was out all day and didn't feed his daughter. He gives her specific foods, not that a doctor recommends it. The food ran out and he said he was going out to buy some but didn't return. She literally begged me to feed her anything, so I made her a sandwich with my son. Her father returned and went off on me saying I had no business feeding his daughter junk. It was homemade, and cussed me out, then accused me of trying to fatten her up and become a pig like me. I had enough, and yelled at him that his daughter wasn't a dog, then told him he had X time to pack and leave. He told my husband and he started arguing with me. I said I could not take any more humiliation in my own home. He said it was appalling and loathsome that I want his brother and handicapped knees on the street. He told me to go apologize and really do better, but I refused, and things have been tense since then. Info: why have you not reported him to the social services? He is mistreating his daughter. I have threatened him at some point, seeing how he essentially treats his daughter as a dog. My husband got mad at me, and he threatened to divorce me if I try to tell someone. You could have solved this by calling child services at the same time you file for divorce. That child needs to be protected. If you don't call child services, you are absolutely the a-hole here. Not the a-hole. Also, this is more of a husband problem. Your husband doesn't seem to care at all that his brother straight up is a bully to his wife and starves his niece. I would call CPS on your brother-in-law. Call CPS. Don't let her leave with him. Kick him out, but keep her there. I know she's not yours, but you'd literally be saving her life. Not stay home. Call CPS and kick brother-in-law out. Keep the daughter. If the husband goes, so be it. Why would you be with someone who supports and enables child mistreatment? You and she deserve so much better.